Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Ask Leah on what is World Mental Health Day. Today, I have spent the day delivering one of my absolute favourite workshops, which is called Shut the Hell Up, How to Control That Little Voice. It is a workshop dedicated to how to overcome self-doubt, and it's one of my favourite to deliver because over the last few years of delivering training to thousands of people across Gippsland and Victoria, it's the one thing I see, regardless of whether I'm delivering a communication workshop, remove the roadblocks, public speaking, the number one thing that is holding people back is their own self-doubt. And it can be absolutely crippling in some people. And given it's World Mental Health Day, it was a great workshop to be delivering because, unfortunately, in people who doubt themselves so seriously, it can create really significant problems and can, develop into some mental health concerns because people who battle self-doubt are often undermining themselves so badly that unfortunately they start believing some of what they tell themselves. So it was great to have 27 people in the room today. Hi, Auntie Trace. 27 people in the room today. Hi, Andy. To really look at how we can tell self-doubt to shut the hell up. And that's one of the strategies that I teach in that workshop. It is talking back to your self-doubt. And when it pipes up, and it will, self-doubt is totally normal. We all experience it. It's analysing it, seeing if it's real, seeing if it's based in reality or if it's just a nasty story we tell ourselves. And if it's just a nasty story we tell ourselves, it is telling that little voice to shut the hell up. I like to picture my self-doubt as the devil that sits on my shoulder, like one of those old school cartoons where it's just whispering in my ear saying, Leah, who do you think you are? You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Why do you think you could do that? Yep, just like all of you, I experience self-doubt at times too. But when that devil's whispering in one ear, I've got that angel on the other shoulder as well. And she's not some meek and mild angel who says, oh, don't say nasty things to me. My angel is fierce. And she is in that other ear saying, shut the hell up. You might be scared, but you're doing it anyway. I encourage you to find a way of talking back to your self-doubt. I always encourage participants in the workshops to say it back, not out loud, because it won't look good if you're telling that little voice to shut the hell up out loud. Hi, everyone who's joining. I can tell it's not batchy this week. Everyone's back online. So tell that little voice to shut the hell up. And one of the fun things we did in today's workshop is we came up with a name for our self-doubt, because it can be really empowering when you've got a name for it. And some people came up with names of people they didn't like. Other people, one lady named her self-doubt after an aunt who used to be really nasty, now deceased. There's all these cool things that you can do to manage your self-doubt. And I encourage you to look at ways of getting on top of it, because if you don't control your self-doubt, guess what? It will control you, and it can be debilitating. So let's get into tonight's questions. We've got 3 questions tonight, and they're a bit of a mixed bag, which is awesome. And as always, if you have a question that you would like to add, please do. First question tonight came up in a workshop this week, actually. And the question was, is there a downside to assertiveness? And the answer is, yeah, absolutely there is. For starters, there are times when assertiveness and speaking up and putting forward your opinion is not appropriate. So what is assertiveness? Assertive communication is, standing up for yourself, speaking up, but in a really respectful way. So it's not being aggressive. It's communicating in a way that sticks up for your rights and opinions, put forward what you're thinking, but respects that other people might have a different opinion to you, and that's absolutely okay. However, there are times when you don't need to put your two bobs worth in. People who think that assertiveness is always speaking up and always saying what's on their mind, that gets bloody annoying, folks, if you're always that person. There are times when you need to pull back. There are times when other people should take the lead. You know, if you're an assertive person, it's knowing when to stand back and let other people shine. And that's a challenge when you're an assertive communicator. I confess it's a challenge that I have, but it's knowing when to pull back and let others take the lead on something. If you don't really care about it, if you're not that invested, and someone else is really into it, you don't have to have the last say. But what are the downsides? Some people won't like you standing up for yourself, particularly if that is new behavior for you. I work with a lot of passive communicators, teaching them how to be more assertive. And one of the things I warn them about is when they're starting to make changes, which is awesome and so important to do, when they start doing that, some people might not like those changes, because here's the thing: if you're a passive communicator and people are used to walking all over you and getting their own way and you always being the people pleaser and the yes person, they're not going to like it when you start to say no and when you start to push back. Okay, I'm not saying that that's not a reason to be assertive, but just be conscious. Some people won't like that. Some people may also mistake your assertiveness for aggression. And again, this is something I see with so many clients that I work with. Someone in their team has complained that they're aggressive, but they're perplexed. They don't know why their behavior is considered aggressive. It wasn't their intention. They have no idea what they're doing wrong. And oftentimes in these situations, I mean, sometimes they are being aggressive and don't have the self-awareness. But you know what? Sometimes it's their communication styles are just poles apart. And you've got one really passive person or a few really passive people, and someone who's assertive and not afraid to have a direct conversation in a really respectful and considered way. But if you're dealing with very passive people, any sort of direct conversation can be threatening. So it may be perceived as aggressive. Doesn't mean either of you are right or wrong, but it's just something to be conscious of. You do need to tailor your communication to suit who you're dealing with. Being assertive can be bloody uncomfortable. It really can. If you know what your line in the sand is and when you are going to stand up and say something for whatever it is that you believe in, and that's what assertive does. You know, for me, I will not stand for racism or prejudice. I won't have a bar of it. And it's not everyone's line in the sand, but it's certainly mine. So if I've got a friend who makes a racist joke or a comment that crosses my line, I will say something. I won't call it out in that annoying way where I, you know, say, don't go saying that sort of thing, and I won't be aggressive, but I'll have a conversation with them about why that I don't think that that's okay. And that can be uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes someone will say something and I'll just cringe and I'll think, oh, really? I don't want to go there. But it's my line in the sand, so I do. And I do it in a compassionate way, but I'll have that conversation even though it's uncomfortable. It's not always the best approach either. The example I use in my effective communication workshop is a friend having a baby and calling it the most horrendous name you've ever heard of. Do you need to say something to her? No, you don't. Yes, you've got an opinion, but guess what? Your opinion does not benefit them, and it only hurts them and doesn't benefit you either. Okay? Now, this friend hasn't asked you for your opinion. They've already named the baby. The fact that you have an opinion does not mean you need to say it. So time and place. You don't always need to be assertive. And true assertiveness is looking for those win-win solutions and taking a problem-solving approach to communication. So yes, it's speaking up when you need to, but guess what? It's also knowing when to stand down and zip it, knowing when to pull back, Okay, so yes, there's a downside to assertiveness, but I've got to say the vast majority of the time, the positives far outweigh the negatives. Second question, how do I increase my influence in the workplace? Great question, this one. And it's actually got quite a simple answer. The key is building relationships. It's all about building relationships, expanding your network. And some people say to me, yeah, but how do I do that? How do I build relationships in the workplace? Here's the thing, you don't have to be everyone's best friend. It's not about, going and sucking up to people, trying to be a people pleaser and do it that way. It is simply about building relationships so that more people know who you are. Why is that important? Because if people know you and they like you, don't have to be best friends with you, but they know you, they respect you, they are more likely to listen to what you have to say, and you will be heard. When you are heard, you have more influence. If people stop and listen when you speak, you have more influence. So really simple things. Having conversations with people in the workplace. If you're in the lunchroom in a big organization with other people, it's as simple as smiling and saying, hello, how's your day going? It's sparking those conversations instead of going head down. So even for shy introverts, you can do these basics of smiling and saying hello to people. Build relationships and you automatically build your influence, okay? It's quite simple. If you want to learn how to build your network in a bigger way, I am running a public workshop on that in Maui in November. Third question tonight, if there's not another one that comes through as we're talking, awesome aims that you have enjoyed talking about assertiveness. Love it. Thank you. And yes, I do think maybe it is a sign you need to come along and do some work on that. Last question is a cracker as well. As some of you know, I'm running my public speaking workshop in Warragul next Tuesday night from 6:30 till 9:30. There are still tickets available. And this question is in regard to public speaking. How do I stop my face from going bright red when I'm speaking in public? Great question, and one that a lot of people experience. And if it's not going bright red, a lot of people who get nervous when they speak in public have some sort of tell. It might be the hand doing the shaking, and if you've got notes, they're going everywhere. It might be that you get really twitchy. It might be that you sweat a lot, or it might be that you blush profusely. So what do you do? First off, it's really key to work on managing nerves, okay? Managing your nerves and things like breathing, making sure you're really prepared, things like that. They all play a role. However, one thing that I have found works really well in this sort of situation, and it sounds counterintuitive, but I have seen it work, is to actually call out the elephant in the room. Here's the thing, when our body betrays us like this and, really tries to show everyone how nervous we are, that's our anxiety, right? Manifesting. And what our body is doing, it's almost saying, I'm going to show everyone that you're nervous because you don't want people to know. So do the opposite. Call it out. Actually call it out and acknowledge your red face straight up. Make a bit of a joke of it. If you can feel that your face has gone bright red and you get up to the podium to speak, it can be starting off with saying, as you can tell by the color of my face tonight, I really love public speaking, and then launch into your presentation. And what you will find happens when you call it out and address the elephant in the room is your anxiety levels, and as a result, your physical response to it often diminishes. And it does that because it's almost like your body goes, she told everyone. She told everyone that I'm nervous. So now doing this crazy blushing business isn't really serving a purpose. So if you're someone that has that physical tell when you're speaking in public, absolutely do your best to manage your nerves, exercising beforehand, deep breathing, be prepared. But you know what? If your body betrays you, call it out. You'll often find the majority of the people in the audience are bloody glad they're not the ones up there public speaking, and they will have real empathy for you up there. You're not apologizing though. Let me make that really clear. You're not saying, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous. Oh, here I go, I'm not very good at this. You're not apologizing. People won't appreciate you apologizing, because if they're listening to you, they're thinking to themselves, well, come on, I expect you to, at least be able to get up here and speak. But if you just call it out with confidence, acknowledge it. As you can see, I love public speaking. I'm a beetroot, and here I go. Give it a crack anyway. That is it for the questions tonight. I want to finish tonight with something really important that I do speak about in a lot of my workshops, but it has added meaning tonight. And that is that life is not a practice run. This is it. And I say this in my public speaking workshop. I say it in my every workshop, actually. It's not so much the public speaking one. It's the shut the hell up one that I ran today. It's remove the roadblocks. It's self-doubt. It's all of those things that hold us back in life from doing what we want to do. Some of us forget that none of us get out of life alive, and this is our one shot at it. And if there's things we want to do, we need to go out and do them and make them happen. And the reason this has hit home so strongly this week, as some of you listening will know, our beautiful friend Kelly Kachu from Honeypot Creative Solutions, and she is also the marketing manager for King Built. She's a dear friend, and she is on the committee for Women in Gippsland as well. She suffered a bleed on her brain on Saturday night, totally out of the blue. She's got 3 gorgeous little girls. She's in an induced coma at the moment down in Melbourne, and we are all just hoping and praying. So many, the outpouring's been incredible for her. She touches everyone she meets in such a powerful way. I'm not close friends with her, but we certainly work together really well and collaborate, and she's just a cracker of a human. We all have everything crossed that Kelly is going to pull through this okay. But I tell you what, if it's things like this that give you that real dose of perspective, none of us get out of life alive. It's not a practice run. We are all scared of something. We all have our self-doubts that we battle. But if you want to do the things you say you want to do, go out and do them, because you will never have more time than now, because you don't know what's around the corner. So I want to leave you with that today. Please look after yourselves, look after your mental health on World Mental Health Day. Have conversations, love each other, hug the people you love, give them a big kiss, tell them that you love them and what they mean to you, and have a great week. I will see you next Thursday again. Tomorrow night I will be dancing my heart out to the waves down in Melbourne. Have a good one, everyone. Cheers.